Welcome to Beyond SaaS. I am Jason Niedle, and today we're talking with Dallin Palmer, co-founder of Halda, about transforming student engagement through innovative AI-driven enrollment solutions. Welcome to Beyond SaaS. I'm Jason Niedle, founder of Tethos. We're a growth agency, and for well over 22 years, we've been accelerating tech company growth through strategy, branding, lead gen, and conversion. If you're looking to grow, check out tethos.com/podcast for a free report or a growth consultation with me, or easier yet, just drop the word growth in the comments. Today, I'm excited to explore tech company growth with Dallin. He is the co-founder of Halda, which is revolutionizing student enrollment by leveraging AI and advanced analytics to enhance student engagement. I hear that you have a rich background in ed tech and strategic innovation, and that you're reshaping educational institutions and how they connect with prospective students. I also hear some fun facts that you're an avid outdoor enthusiast and that you lived in China and are proficient in Mandarin. So welcome, Dallin.
Thanks. That proficiency in Mandarin may be slipping slowly every day.
Not practicing so much?
Well, so my kids are in a Chinese immersion program, so I get to practice with them. We take our kids when they finish elementary school out to Taiwan. I spent a couple of years living in Taiwan, which is awesome. I love Taiwan so much. But yeah, when we were living in Beijing and working, that's been like over 10 years ago now. So anyway, I'm grateful for the kids in elementary school because then I get to like read their very simple books with them. I'm like, okay, I can still do this. I can still do it.
Well, and reading's much harder than being conversational, isn't it?
It is a little bit different language, but writing is the worst. I never learned to write very well. So I can read it. I have a decent memory. And so like it's picking up reading wasn't bad. And then typing is easy because you still use Romanized characters. And so it's not hard to type it, but if you memorizing all the strokes to write it, that's where it gets just really hard.
Awesome. Well, I'm super interested to hear about Halda, but do you have a golden nugget for us today first?
Yeah, the golden nugget for me came through a lot of trial and error. Like most entrepreneurs, this is not the first thing that we tried to build and grow. But essentially, for the first several things we tried, we chased after shiny technology and we went hunting for a problem. And we thought we were doing it according to all of the greatest, advice. But it wasn't until later in hindsight, we're like, oh, we're taking shiny technology and trying to find a good problem to solve with it instead of really understanding deeply a problem and then applying the best technology available to solve the problem. Like a deep understanding of the problem and pain that you're setting out to solve is just so crucial. So there's probably a whole bunch of other things, but like for anyone that's just getting started, I think that's the number one. You have to deeply understand the problem first.
We talk about this all the time, and I don't think it can be said in enough different ways. So I'm glad you're saying it, and I think that's perfect. I had somebody on last week who said that they were obsessive, and I was like, how obsessive can you be? And then he said, yeah, when we were starting our company, we went and interviewed 300 people in our space to understand their needs. And he's like, we probably understood them better than Gartner did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you probably did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to. I didn't make it to 300. We did about 75
That's huge still.
universities before it really dawned on us what to do. And we dabbled in things before. So when Lance and I first started building together, as before we brought on Spencer, like we had a marketing agency that we were running to help pay the bills. Neither of us were like terribly great at digital marketing. It's just like we were good enough at it. But so we knew we wanted to build a software business. And so it was around the time, I don't know if you remember this, when like Magic Leap raised like $1 billion. Like, gosh, augmented reality. And so like shiny technology, right? Okay, let's run after that. And then like we got distracted by this other. Anyway, I won't bore you with the whole thing. In fact, I don't know if this like the video thing works on this, but I've got a little like piece of art here on my wall. You can't really see it too well, but right there on my wall is this, I don't know if you technically count as a sculpture or not, but it's called The Wanderer's Way. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that up in my office because it's just like, nope. Oh, there it is. We finally figured it out.
It's not a straight path to get from A to B.
It is not a straight path. It can be straighter if you've learned the lessons. But I think irregardless, all of the fun is in the discovery,
I always like that analogy of a map, right? If you know where you're going, your B, you still won't get there if you don't know your A. Like the only way to get somewhere is you have to know your starting point. Where am I right now and be really clear. And then you have to know where am I going and be really clear. And even then you're still going to go where the path takes you.
Yep. 100%.
So tell me about your company.
Man, so Halda, we're here to really change the way that student recruitment happens and to update it. I think a few things that make us super unique is for a lot, the historical business in this space has been very institution centric and just hasn't been updated in forever, right? Using very old technologies, as you might imagine. Higher ed has just moved slow, right? In terms of adopting new technology. The way that the idea came to me and Lance where we partnered up with an industry association, NAGAP, the National Association of Graduate Admissions Professionals. And at first we thought it was just a way to drum up more business for our agency, right? In the back of our heads, we're always trying to find what's the product, what's the product, what's the product. But we did this thing where like, hey, free assessment, right? We'll review your digital ads, we'll review your landing page. So they do this survey, and and the shorter version of the story is we're writing the reports afterward, and 80%, 85% of the institution said, hey, what I need from my digital marketing efforts is more leads. I've got to convert better, right? And so we're reviewing it, and we reviewed all the landing pages, and about the 35th time that I wrote out, your calls to action are clear, apply now, learn more, contact us. They're just not compelling. Nobody cares. Like if you want more leads today, you've got to offer more value that's relevant and immediate to their problem today. We're relying too much on the eventual value of a degree and education, which is by and large, I believe in education to my bones, but you're not offering them value today. And that was the spark. So from there, over the years, as technology has advanced and our product has evolved, the one thing that we stay really true to is keeping a sharp eye on the student. When the student wins, everyone wins, right? And I think that's really important, especially anyone building marketing technology, because there's manipulative marketing, there's gotcha marketing, there's tricky stuff you can do to improve conversions or whatever. But if you're really focused on value-based marketing, like the best marketing in my mind, irregardless of industry, is just being more helpful. And so in our minds, that was, well, I got to learn something about you. And then the best way to be helpful is to personalize the content. So we went down that strategy. AI comes out, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, personalization just got massively easier. Before you have to build out so much stuff and so much custom logic and calculators and all these things. But now with AI, we're to the point now where Halda is an AI enrollment platform where we can individualize the content across any channel. Website based on my behavior and what I'm searching for, etc. I give you custom content. I request a phone call from an AI student recruiter. That's us too. And as I talk to it, hey, I don't remember. Oh, I was on the website. I did one of those scholarship assessments. How much did you say I qualify for? Well, that recruiter knows because it's tied into the same data layer, right? So it's got context there. That gets transcribed.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Any channel that student wants to interact with, email, SMS, phone calls, WhatsApp, if you're international, back to the website, it all syncs to a unified data layer where I can help individualize their content, their journey, their marketing based on, of course, a knowledge base that I have about the school. So it's been so fun to build. And the good news is it saves institutions tons of time and we can deliver better results at a lower price because the alternative is a more historical agency where it's like, hire a bunch of people, write a bunch of content, review that content, deploy it. You can't change it on the fly because it took way too much work to get it in place. So anyway, that's Halda in probably not quite as small of a nutshell as it should have been, but anyway.
Well, I can imagine coming from an agency that you have a different perspective on how things have to work.
Yeah, I think it was helpful to have a little bit of that. Like I don't have deep agency background, right? So I've been in SaaS for the most part. So I took a little bit of time. My first job out of college was student recruitment. That's what took us to China. We did like high school tours for US universities through China. And we had a lead aggregator site that we got prospective students to register for, and we connect them with the schools, et cetera. That was at a company called Zinch, which was later purchased by Chegg. And then I went and did some software sales actually with a group here in Utah called Podium. Learned a ton there. And then I knew Lance back at the Chegg days during Zinch and Chegg. And so we got back together. And again, like at first it was just like, we want to build a business. We want to do our own thing. And the easiest place to start was with some marketing, just because Podium was in marketing technology. Like I knew the basics of it. It helps to have a little bit of that background.
What's really the heart of your role these days?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm most passionate about. One of the things that we found to really be a strategic advantage for our business is working hard to maintain our culture.
Mm.
It's something that I didn't really appreciate. Like I'd heard other founders talk about culture and how important it is and how to safeguard it and how do you go about that. And so because of that, Lance and I and Spencer, we did like put out values in the business from the earliest of times, right? Like how we wanted to operate internally. And fortunately, like that's been something that we use consistently. Like every team meeting, we review one of the values. Like it's very much not something that we just put up on the wall and no one ever thinks about it or it allows it to impact their behavior. It's something we talk about all the time. And so I think another part of what I like to do is just making sure that everyone in the company understands the foundational tenets of like how we go about our work. And I think that makes a huge difference in terms of making this a great place to be, to work, but also empowering every individual to be innovative, take risks, seek truth about like what actually adds value, what's really going to work. Like we had our VP of product, John Grover, love him to death. He's just the best. Spent a lot of time developing a new part of our app. And obviously if he's spending time, engineers are spending time, right? This is an expensive project. Digs into the data. It did not improve results. And what did he do the next team meeting? He gets up in front of everyone and said, this didn't improve the results. But that was celebrated. Like that wasn't a bad thing. I was like, okay, awesome. We've checked something off that didn't work, but now we have data to go and improve it and actually get good results. I think if you're if you're trying to hide from that, in the medium or longer term, the business fails. It happens to a lot of organizations. They like find something that works and then they stop seeking truth around it. And then it becomes this effort of protecting that original thing.
Hmm.
And over time, every product will have decay because the ecosystem changes. So you have to perpetually like just keep that motion going. So I spend a lot of my time trying to make sure that we don't lose that as the company grows, that every seat knows, hey, there's no off limit topics. There's no, can't touch that product or this project. We want to seek truth and just try to figure out what actually works and what actually adds value. And we're going to talk very directly with one another about that, of course, in a respectful and professional way. But we want that type of culture here at Halda where we can really just continue to innovate because of it.
I like that you're actually bringing up the values in the meetings and you're using them. And I hear about culture somewhat regularly, but I haven't had actually great tips on like how do you implement and push culture through the organization. Do you have any other ways that you guys actually push the culture?
In our offer letters that we send out, well, first off, we'll interview for Culture Fit. We have a whole interview just about the culture here at Halda and the team members that join to judge really about culture fit. And it's about paradigm, it's about worldview, it's about how do you operate as well as we can. And we always check references too, because that culture fit part is crucial. And then in the offer letter, we have our values there and it's something they sign. Like we have it out there. Like these are the values that we do our work by. And during the hours that you're with us, we expect you to live according to these. And we have them sign it as part of their offer letters. Day one, the founders, me, Lance, and Spencer, will sit down with each new employee and talk through each and every part of that document. There's 8 points. We'll talk through each one. We'll describe what they mean. We'll tell stories and give examples of how people at Halda have been living it. And so from day one, it's leveling the expectations. It's letting you know, this is how we play the game here at Halda. We tell them, just so you know, every single employee has had this exact same conversation. So when I'm telling you, we give and receive feedback directly with each other, just know that that's the expectation everyone has. Right. And so like if something goes wrong or someone hurts your feelings, even it's like, talk directly. We're telling everybody, let's talk directly with one another. So that's something that I think really helps. And then we have what we call Town Halda. It's really cute. Every Friday, and a portion of that is we'll pick one of the values, and it's not like a speech about it or whatever. It's essentially saying, hey, here's one of our values. Who have you seen on our team who has done something to live up to this value this week? And again, it's something where we can celebrate our team members. And then there's a few of them that really guide our decision making. Because I think we review it enough when we're sitting in product meetings and we're talking about, okay, should we do it this way or that way, et cetera? Like all the time we ask, well, is this putting the student first, right? Is this adding value to the student? Because we believe that if the student wins, everyone wins. And that has guided a lot of our decisions. It's become part of our vernacular. The number one value is we seek truth in everything we do. Hey, can we seek truth around this for a minute? Sometimes I'm so used to talking that way now, I realize that it's probably weird for someone who doesn't like work. You're like, hey, let's seek truth around what this means. But again, we review it enough, and it's ingrained in how we do our work.
So let me recap that because a lot of people are listening here. It sounds like you said you interview for culture right off the bat. You include it in the offer letter, which they sign. Day one, you have like a founder review where you talk through it all. You have town haldas where you discuss like the values in use. And then you actually use them for decision making. When you're making a decision, you reference them and, is this the right decision?
Yep.
Based on values. I
That's
love
right.
that. That's all amazing. And those are great tips. What stage would you say Halda's in? You call yourself a startup or mid stage? Like how big are you?
Man, so we've got about 30 people who work for us now. That's fluctuated. Like some startup journeys, I think we all celebrate the startup journeys of like, wow, the rocket ship, J curve, here we go. Like my and Spencer's opinion about this is a little nuanced. So we bootstrapped the business to our first million in ARR. And then there were just some competitive pressures and things going on. We're like, okay, it'd probably be worth having a little bit of money raised. So we haven't taken like a traditional VC path. Like we've raised some money, but we're not doing it in the way where you're on the treadmill, where it's like raise the money, burn it all within a year and a half or 2 years, raise the next tranche. Like we're not building the business for the next fundraise. I think that's another thing that really takes startups down a bad path. Last year, we got ourselves to the point where we were break even, and then we were building this new set of tools. We're like, okay, if we staff up and we push some more into marketing, we could really, we have a chance to double the business this next year. Halda's been healthy. We've been growing about 70% year over year, 70, 75. So it's not like your story of bonkers. We grew 800% this last year, but it's been healthy and strong. And that's a lot of what we're trying to build for. One thing that we'd seen in previous businesses is just how churn can murder your growth. And that was a problem in businesses that we saw where they were able to cover it up with really strong new sales growth, but we're just not into that type of treadmill. So we've invested really heavily in making sure that our NRR is strong, our renewals are really strong, so we don't have to re-win those dollars.
So
And the way to do
important.
that is like great account management, but also having a product that adds real value, right? Like it's easy to sell a flashy thing year one. It's a lot harder to sell it year two if it didn't do its job, right? And again, I think there's way too many software companies that are like, they're just hoping and praying that people don't look at their credit card bill and like, just forget that I'm
I feel
here.
like that's half my subscriptions.
Right? Just forget that I'm here and keep that coming. So yeah, I think we've put a big emphasis on like growing really strong. And ironically, it's helped us out a ton because we were able to avoid like the craziness of 2021 where people got absolutely upside down on their cap tables, raising at insane valuations that they'll never be able to grow out of. And then now, because of 2021, now like we have VCs pounding down our door and private equity firms pounding down our door all the time because what's sexy right now is efficiency. Is saying, I know how to grow a business, grow it healthily and well without a ton of burn. And so like we get a lot of attention at this point. Whereas like in 2021, they're like, oh, what are you doing? You're not burning $1 million a month. You're crazy. We call a lot of our business accidentally on purpose. We're trying to add real value and we follow that path. And then as we look back, we're like, oh, we didn't really intend for it all to play out this way, but it played out really nicely. Someday when we sell the business, we'll probably all get tattoos saying accidentally on purpose or something.
I do a lot of design projects and I tell them like the design rules. And one of my clients, I have a team of like 50 people that are doing stuff. And I'm like, these are the rules and you're going to follow them. And when something amazing happens, you're going to take credit for it. It kind of was you follow the rules. But if you
Yeah,
follow the rules, amazing things will happen and it will look like you're a genius. Just say, yep, just smile and nod. But
that's
it's
right.
totally that accidental on purpose. Like if you have the value in your company and you're following the right values, great things will come out. And so it's really not accidental, right?
Yeah.
But it
But
kind of looks like it sometimes.
yeah, that's the principle, right? Like exactly what you said. Yep.
So 70+% growth is amazing. What's your like what's your growth goal? What's your stretch goal?
Oh, well, so this year the target is to get to 125% NRR. Q1 we did 110. I mean, I guess technically there's still a couple more days, but I think we've locked up all of our renewals. So we got to 110 in Q1, which we're really happy about. This year we're trying to double it. We're seeing if we can double the business. So it's it's good. I think we've got the team to do it. We've got the product to do it. It's just about getting out there, telling the story, winning hearts and minds.
Well, and in that regard, what are you doing in marketing and sales to reach the new people?
So we've learned a lot of lessons in this realm. Like there was a time when I was, let me say this, it's so important to have the right people in the seat. We've learned a ton about hiring and mostly how not to do it, right? We've gotten a lot more rigorous in terms of like how we vet people. We've gotten really serious about reference checks, right? And like back channeling and being way more cautious about who we bring into the business, especially because we're not like a hybrid business where it's like, okay, hire 10 in a few months, fire 7 of them and keep the 3 that are good. Like we don't like that playbook and we don't have the money to do it that way. So we're really careful about hiring, way more careful than we were a few years ago. Another thing that I've grown to appreciate, and this is probably ironic given that I worked in some marketing, but our industry is quite small, right? There's 4,000 universities that we could really, well, there's about 4,000 in the United States, of which there's like 2,500 that like I really want to sell into. You can't spam the hell out of them every single day for years and build any sort of affinity, right? Especially if the messages are always like, "Hey, let's meet, let's meet, let's meet, let's meet. Bye, 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 bye." Like you're just gonna wear everybody out. And so over the last couple of years, just as I think as we got more and more to scale, we started to think a lot harder about like how do I make people aware of and have an affinity for Halda? And so we did a few things that I think helped. We got some partnerships in place, some biz dev partnerships that like sort of elevated our brand and like put us on par with some bigger brands that they know. And then we developed a new strategy for our conferences. Conferences are really bread and butter in our industry, a great way to forge relationships and also get a lot of sales. Last year, we started to say every conference needs to include an opportunity to have fun, like get to know and have fun with our team. And of course, like have the follow-up meetings, we need a strong sales motion. And so last year we did a few things. Like at one event, we hosted a pickleball tournament. And like that's sort of how we got to know a lot of people. And it was more just like, oh, I like these guys, which of course is going to open up doors. At another one, we rented out a suite at a Las Vegas Knights game. And the team orchestrated this one really well, where it's like, hey, day one, you got to come and pick up your t-shirt from our booth because that's your ticket in. And so that drove a lot of people to our booth where we could like have more of like, what is Halda? And then more business conversation.
And you're
But then
giving them something.
you're giving them something. They're all wearing it, so everyone else sees your brand. It was exclusive, right? There's only so many people, and we did a few things to build up the FOMO of it. So we had a bunch of people come by, hey, did anyone drop out? Can I get a ticket? Like there's all this stuff around it. But then because we had the business conversations the day before at the booth, well, when we got there to the game, it was just like eat, drink, have fun, get to know our team better. We'll get to know you better. And it's like no pressure. Before when we'd done events, it was like all this, like it was the first time we were meeting people. And so the sales people that we sent had this pressure. It sort of poisons the party a little bit. So this one worked really well. Did that already. This is just about having fun. We did a glass blowing event. So now one of our paradigms, this could be another tip for people building. I do not believe in like big sponsorships of conferences, right? Like why give the conference organizers 30 grand to have like your logo? Like nobody cares. No one cares at all about like what logos are on the banner. But take that same 30 grand and throw a crazy good party. Spend it on the people themselves that you're trying to build relationships with. You'll be way better off. The other thing that drives me crazy, if you're in a business that does conferences, I mean, Jason, I think this could be like a whole section of your agency to help people grow. I don't know if you do like conference consulting. Do you guys do any
We
training?
do some of that, yeah.
The thing that drives me the most crazy, where it's like, I'm going to have the 6-foot table in front of me and I'm going to sit there like a puppy dog, waiting for someone to talk to me. Or even if you don't have the 6-foot table, I've got the tall table that I'm sitting at and I'm just typing on my computer, not looking at anyone. It's like, guys, come on. So I think there's a whole business to be had of like training sales teams how to maximize a trade show floor. In my mind, I tell all my guys, it's like, listen, if you're not having fun, if you're not having the time of your life, no one's going to want to talk to you. Right? So kick back a 5-hour energy, drink as many Red Bulls as you can without getting sick, and have a blast. Have fun, meet people, shake hands. I don't care, but just like if you're just sitting there thinking, when is this going to end? Yeah, you might as well not go. Right? Like go and have fun. The point is to network and meet people and just have a blast. So yeah, we tell our team like you don't sit down ever. Sorry, but there's no sitting. Like if there's a chair in there, it's only for a customer. And then two, just like have fun. Like, and I don't even think like the little candies people put out or the handouts they put, I don't think that really does anything. Just be gregarious, have too much caffeine in your system, and just smile and laugh and make jokes with people and meet your neighbors in the other booths. And if it's not a fit for you with someone you're talking to, it's like, oh, but I know somebody else you should talk to. So it turns my stomach when I see a company with a giant booth where they paid $10,000 for the space. They probably had spent another $10,000 on all their tchotchke and handouts, and they have two people sitting down, looking at a laptop, typing emails. It makes me want to barf.
Yeah, right.
You are wasting your time and money.
I had a guest recommend something that I've mentioned a couple times. They found a professional wing woman, could be a man, I guess, but in their case,
Yeah.
it was a wing woman. And she goes out and she talks to people. And when she finds someone that might have a similar need, she's like, oh my gosh, you have to come meet these people over here. They're amazing. Let me bring them to the booth. And so she brings people to their booth. And then they, of course, they have all these, and they're like, oh yeah, we like 12x'd the amount of people that we actually talk to that matter.
Smart.
And then in terms of having fun, I had a client about 10 years ago and we helped them put together a massive event. It was in Vegas. And so if you did the right things there, kind of like you were talking about, then they invited you to a party at the bottom of the Grand Canyon and you meet at a certain place and the buses take you to the helicopters and they rented 12 helicopters.
Awesome.
And it was like Apocalypse Now. We were all taking off, and of course I had to go.
So
right?
cool.
And there's all these helicopters flying across the desert. And then we all landed in the bottom. There was like snacks and champagne and whatever. And everyone's, hung out and had a party for like an hour at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. You get back in your helicopter, you fly back, you do a tour and you land.
And think about not only the friendships and deals that will come directly from it, but all the word of mouth of like, you wouldn't believe the experience that we had.
No, everybody was talking about it. They were begging
Right?
for it the next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the company changed ownership and didn't want to spend any money the next year. So it's like, it was amazing.
That's awesome, dude.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So your journey sounds incredible. If your goal is 200%, if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing that's kind of slowing you down or holding you back, what would that one thing be?
Like our big barrier right now is top of funnel, is like having enough people like us, be aware of us, like us, and book with us for meetings, because we have a good close rate, right? The product works. It's just like, how do I fill up that top of funnel? How can I free up my AEs from prospecting and just book them back to back with meetings? And I think that the marketing we've got in seat right now will do really well. And we've done a lot better this year than we did last year that way. And some of it is like the product's gone flashier, it's gotten better, and the BDRs that we have are performing really well. And I've still got to really fix and automate the top of funnel a lot better than I'm doing right now. We've always relied a lot more on sales muscle and individual outreach than we have on marketing, apart from like conferences, right? Which are helpful. Having that all fixed and humming would probably be the thing that I wish I had started 4 months ago, 5 months ago. But we found our person and I think she's going to do awesome.
That's great. I know we're getting close to our time. I have just a few more questions for you, if that's okay. What do you wish other leaders knew about growing a tech company?
I wish that there were more of us willing to be vulnerable and tell our true stories. I think so many of us want to pattern match against the unicorns of the world. And so we whitewash our story afterward, right? We say like, oh, okay, well, technically we started this 2 years earlier, but no one really knows that. So I'm going to say it's 2 years later, because then look at the growth curve. It's like, it's amazing. It's like, I think we could all benefit from a lot more authenticity that way. And then and maybe this is recency bias from like some interviews that I've done, but I'm really saddened by like what a poor job a lot of tech companies do from like just going back to like culture, environment, and like a place to work. I think there's way too many tech founders that are insane. That are just rude people, or like don't treat their people well. And I wish that there were better ways to balance the pressure of growing with like finding joy in the journey and celebrating as we go. Anyway, those are some of the things that come to mind with your question.
It's interesting because when you talk about founders, I've seen obsession many times, and sometimes that leads to success. But I've seen obsession on the good side, where they're like obsessed about being a servant leader and helping and providing value, and they'll work hard and they'll do anything to get it. And they're on one side. And then I've seen obsessed, and you never really know, but it's kind of like you get that hint of like, it's probably not going so well for the people that work there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like everyone's in your way. And like, why is everyone so stupid? And yeah, I think unfortunately, sometimes that type of leader gets celebrated, or at least has been. And I think it's too bad.
AI is the trend everywhere you look all the time. What do we need to know about AI these days? Is there something that you're discovering that we should all know?
It's so much more powerful, than we thought it was. Well, maybe than I thought it was going to be. Like when ChatGPT 3 came out or 3.5, like it was helpful initially. It's like, wow. But then like it ran up against a wall and I was like, and I sort of forgot about it for a few months, 4 comes out, 4.5, and then all the other models. I just think for the smart tech leader, you should be using this not only in your product, absolutely in your product, not only in your development, like your engineers should absolutely be using this stuff, but like think of every single process in your business. Like there is a real opportunity to automate all of this work, right? And we're pursuing that heavily. So we've dedicated some of our resources to internal tool development with everything that's coming online. Because I'll give you an example. I had a meeting last week about a new page for our website. I really didn't want to go to this meeting. It's like, I don't want to go. It's going to be like a brainstorming session and someone will give their opinion, another person will give their opinion, and we'll leave with some instructions. And then we'll do another meeting the next week. And I was like, I don't want to do this meeting. So what did I do? I went in ChatGPT and said, hey, I'm going to kick off some deep research. Give me research about the best practices for this type of page and also check these specific companies who are competitors of mine. How are they doing it? Great. It wasn't a huge task. So it took, I think, 3.5 minutes for it to do the deep research. Comes back. There it is. I read through and say, okay, can you give me a recommendation based on these best practices and like an outline for Halda? And I was in a thread that had a lot of context about Halda. Great. Did it. So I said, awesome. Can you make me a prompt that I can put into Claude Sonnet 3.7 so I can actually build this page? Builds me the prompt. I put it in to Claude. We use a tool called Polymet. They're super cool. Nice. It actually does better than just Claude. They use Claude in the back end, but Polymet is the tool we use. So we put it into Polymet and boom. So in 20 minutes, I get all this done and I go into the meeting. I'm like, here's a research-backed, pre-built, already designed. It includes the code, right? So now our designer, she was thrilled because she's like, I hate the research work. I hate the prep work. I like the last mile where it's like artistic. Let's get into our brand guidelines and just make this really pop. Well, it did all the other work for us. And so I calculated it automated probably 13 to 15 hours of work for us
Wow.
by doing that, right?
And deep research is pretty incredible, that feature.
Well, it's incredible, but the ability to take that and go like 3 steps further to where like I ended within 20 minutes, I kid you not, with a fully designed page and the ability to export code from it to have it just be built. Like it's
amazing.
So I think that's it. It's just like you can make it go so much further than just information now. Like we are probably months away from this thing being able to actually do a lot of work for us.
I love when you're in deep research watching it think.
Yeah.
It's like, it will literally like kind of talk to itself. I wonder if, no, that doesn't seem right. Well, how about if I try this? It's like talking through the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to do like a market analysis for one of our partners that I had a meeting with the next day. And like reading through, I opened up that same thing where it's like showing me the steps and what it was learning. I'm like, it would have taken me forever to find all this stuff. And I'm learning so much about my client and their market and like things that are important to them right now that, again, I would never have had the time to do, but now it's just like, okay, I feel so prepared. Yeah. It will influence, it'll accelerate, it'll benefit every part of our businesses. And it goes so much deeper than just chatting with something that can give you an answer.
For sure. So times feel pretty turbulent. What trends do you see ahead, or how are you preparing for growth in times that are hard to predict?
I think that where we've landed as a company on that front, and we've had a lot of conversations about this just in the last few weeks. Anyone in technology has to be able to help their customers do more with less, because it's not just turbulent for us, it's turbulent for all of our customers. Whether you're working with big enterprises or smaller SMBs, mid-markets, it's like everyone's facing budget cuts. Everyone's worried about how this is going to go. And so for Halda, what we're really showcasing is how Halda doesn't just come in and make things better. We can straight up replace the things that you're spending money on right now and help you do it better and cheaper. So I think for anybody selling technology right now, I think if you are an ancillary spend, if you are an addition to the budget, it could be a tough couple years. And I'm not probably telling you anything you don't know. I would look really hard at trying to figure out, how do we replace big parts of our customers' budgets? How do we do a big job for them for half the cost or less? And higher ed may be especially hit hard by this, just because as NIH budgets got cut, National Institutes of Health, that impacts a bunch of graduate programs who got grants there, right? And then you've got all the turbulence with the Department of Education. And then you've got like that. Then it's like, okay, who's going to do FAFSA? Can I enroll my class? And then in higher ed specifically, we've got a demographic cliff. People didn't have as many babies in the last 20 years as they did in the previous 20 years. And so there's fewer students to recruit. So lots of pressures in this industry specifically. I think we'll see it systemically. So it's like, yeah, you got to make sure you can straight up replace something they're currently doing. I think the businesses that are like, keep doing what you're doing, add this, it'll make it better. That's going to be a really hard pitch, I think.
How do I show my clients how to do more with less?
That's right.
Awesome. Dallin, this has been super interesting. Where can our audience find you?
In Provo, Utah. That's where we're at.
On the slopes, maybe.
Yeah, on the that season's coming to a close, at least for the resorts we go to. But yeah, we're at halda.ai, halda.ai. You can find me on LinkedIn. Pretty unique name. I shouldn't be too hard to find. Yeah, would love to connect, love to chat.
And don't forget to share. That really helps us out. Until next time, this is Beyond SaaS.